Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. It happened on a Thursday. I was standing in the kitchen, still in my work boots, dirt on my sleeves, barely enough energy to microwave leftovers. Deborah leaned against the fridge, arms folded, and said it like she was ordering a sandwich. I don't think I want to be married anymore. No yelling, just a flat voice, like we were roommates discussing rent. I stared at her for maybe 3 seconds, then said, "All right, that's all." Just that. And I went back to my food. She blinked like she didn't hear me right. That's it? You're not even going to ask why. I already know why. Her lips parted, like she had a whole speech prepared. But I didn't give her the stage. I walked past her and said over my shoulder, "You don't have to explain. I've been here the whole time." The truth was, I'd felt her leaving months ago. The silence at dinner, the fake smiles when we had company, the way her phone had become a second limb. We hadn't touched each other in weeks, we hadn't laughed in months, and every time I asked if she was okay, she just shrugged and walked away. So no, I wasn't shocked. The words were new, but the feeling, that had been here a while. I ate my dinner in silence while she watched me from the hallway. I didn't ask if she was serious. I didn't even ask what changed, because I already knew. Everything had changed. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I had to, but because it felt easier. No awkward tension, no cold shoulder, just space. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel miserable in it. The next morning, I got up before the sun. Something in me felt different, lighter. I let Deborah stay in the bedroom while I grabbed a towel and stepped into the shower. As the water hit my back, I didn't feel pain. I felt quiet. Not the kind of silence that comes from being ignored. The kind that feels clean, undisturbed. She had dumped me, officially, and not a single part of me was scrambling to fix it. I thought about all the little things that led to this. The way she used to say, "Why are you being so serious?" anytime I brought up bills, or how she rolled her eyes when I talked about work. The way she stopped texting back during the day. She always had plans with her friends, but never made time for us. And when I suggested therapy a few months ago, she scoffed. "You want me to pay someone to tell us what we already know? That we're broken?" I remember standing in the kitchen that night with my jaw clenched. I had been trying to salvage what we had, and she made it feel like I was desperate. That was the first night I slept in the guest room. I laughed to myself, not because any of it was funny, but because I finally saw it for what it was, a slow fade. She didn't just fall out of love. She slipped away one piece at a time, and I kept hoping she'd turn around. But now, the waiting was over. I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't see a man who'd been abandoned. I saw someone who had been released. By the second day, I wasn't mourning. I was already breathing easier. That morning, Deborah handed me a manila envelope across the dining table. "These are the papers," she said. "I already filled out my part." I opened the envelope and saw the divorce forms already signed. All she needed now was mine. "You move fast," I said, not even looking up. She shrugged. "I just think it's cleaner this way." Clean. That's what she called it. I didn't argue. I didn't ask about assets or who was keeping what. We didn't have kids. We didn't own the house, just renting. Most of what we bought was either cheap or already falling apart. The car was in her name. The couch was mine. The only thing messy was us. And even that, I was starting to feel, had been cleared out already. That afternoon, I made a call to Patricia Gordon, a local attorney my coworker Luis had recommended after his own divorce. She was sharp, calm, and straight to the point. She told me we could keep it quiet. No courtroom mess, no unnecessary noise, just paperwork. She reminded me to be careful, to read every line, and not to sign anything that could come back to bite me later. Before I left, she gave one last piece of advice. Don't try to be the hero. Protect yourself. You don't owe anyone a graceful exit if they've already walked out on you. That stuck with me. So, at night, I started packing, quietly. A few books, my tools, a hoodie. I didn't make it dramatic. Just one box at a time after she went to bed. I didn't tell her about the apartment I'd found downtown. She dumped me. That much was clear. But I wasn't going to sit around playing the abandoned husband. I was already making moves. By the third day, something shifted in Deborah. She started dressing like she was going out every night. Tight dresses, loud heels, full makeup. She didn't tell me where she was going. Just said things like, "Don't wait up," or "It's girls' night." I didn't ask questions. I just moved another box out of the garage. Then came the strange morning, a Wednesday. She was in the kitchen in one of my old flannels, barefoot, holding coffee she hadn't made for me. I walked in, opened the cabinet, and poured myself a cup, like I always did. "Anything you want to say?" she asked suddenly, not looking up. I stirred the sugar. "About what?" She turned to face me, eyes sharp. "About me going out every night. About the divorce. About anything." I took a sip, leaned against the counter. "What do you want me to say, Deborah?" She looked thrown off by that, like I was supposed to yell or beg. She set her mug down harder than she needed to. "You're not even going to fight for us." I gave her a second. Let the silence do its job. Then I said, "No, you made the call. I'm just following your lead." She blinked fast, like she didn't know whether to be mad or hurt. "I thought we'd at least talk about—" "We could have done that months ago," I cut in. "Back when I suggested we get help. Remember what you said?" She looked away. "You laughed at me, like I was weak for even bringing it up. That was the talk, Deborah. You walked away from it. I just stayed longer than I should have." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I finished my coffee and walked out without another word. That night, she didn't go out. She stayed in, silent, scrolling her phone, maybe waiting to see if I'd change my mind. But I'd already left her in my head days ago. And now she knew it. 2 days later, I ran into Michael, Deborah's cousin, outside the gas station. We hadn't talked much in the past year, but he used to swing by our place for game nights before things went south. He noticed me before, walking over with a bag of ice tucked under his arm. After a brief pause, he offered his sympathy about the split. There was an awkward silence between us. He hesitated before saying what was really on his mind. He told me I wasn't the problem, that several people had seen it. According to him, Deborah had changed. She was constantly tense, picking fights, shutting down whenever someone brought up our relationship. It was like she had already decided how things were going to end long before she ever said it out loud. I didn't respond, just stood there staring down while he let out a quiet sigh and said that not everything that went wrong was on me. I thanked him, and we left it there. But that moment stuck with me. It made everything sharper. All those months of emotional distance, the eye rolls, the cold shoulders, the way she'd twist every conversation into an accusation. Maybe that wasn't just drifting. Maybe she was preparing her exit, justifying it to herself and anyone who'd listen. And maybe she had a little help. That night, I looked at the lease paperwork for the downtown place and signed it. I started moving the rest of my stuff out. More boxes. The guitar she hated hearing. No speeches, no scenes, just a slow, silent erasure. She noticed. By Friday, she asked, "You going somewhere?" "Yeah," I said. "My place." She stared at me. "You already found a place?" I nodded. She looked stunned, like this wasn't how it was supposed to go. Like she expected me to crawl, to plead, to be broken. But I wasn't. The apartment I moved into wasn't fancy. 1 bedroom, thin walls, creaky floors. But it was quiet. No tension in the air, no guessing games, no walking into a room and wondering if I was welcome. Deborah texted that night. "So that's it?" I left it on red. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized, signed, stamped, and filed. No arguments, no courtroom, no drama, just a cold, clean break. My lawyer sent a quick message. "Everything's done. You're free." Those words hit harder than I expected. I sat on the floor of my new apartment that night, eating takeout. No TV, just silence. But the silence didn't hurt anymore. It felt earned. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even tired. I was still. I thought about all the time I spent patching cracks in that marriage, pretending things weren't as broken as they were. I remembered all the nights I came home and felt invisible. All the times I reached out and got nothing in return. And now? Now I didn't have to try so hard just to be okay. I wasn't fighting anymore. The next time I saw Deborah, weeks later, it was by accident. She was at the grocery store, looking tired, thinner maybe. She didn't say anything, just glanced at me as I passed. And for once, I didn't feel anything. No bitterness, no longing, no heat in my chest. I had walked out of it with my peace intact. That was the win. 3 months had passed. I was working late one night, going through invoices on my laptop, when my phone buzzed. Do you ever think we gave up too soon? I stared at the message for a full minute. Not because I didn't know how to respond, but because I didn't feel anything. No twist in my stomach, no panic, just stillness. I didn't reply right away. The next morning she followed up. Can we talk? In person? I said yes, out of curiosity, not interest. We met at a place we used to go to before things got weird, a quiet spot with good coffee and not much foot traffic. She picked the table in the back, away from the windows. When I sat down, she smiled nervously. Her voice was softer now. I've been thinking about everything, she said. And I don't know if I made the right call. I waited. She looked down at her cup. You remember Kayla, my friend from work? I nodded. Hard to forget. Kayla always had something slick to say whenever I was around. She was the one who kept telling me I deserved better, that you were holding me back, that I should just end it. I raised an eyebrow. She said that? Deborah nodded. Every time I vented, she told me to walk away, that she would have left long ago. What she didn't know was, Kayla messaged me a week after the separation, said she was sorry things didn't work out, and that if I ever wanted to grab a drink, I should let her know. I didn't respond. Deborah kept talking. I started spending more time with her and her husband, and I realized something. He's awful to her, controlling, loud, always cutting her off, and she just takes it. She looked up at me now. The marriage I was comparing ours to? It was fake. I nodded slowly, let her words hang. Finally, she asked the question I knew was coming. Do you think there's a chance for us to try again? I didn't flinch. I just said, no. She looked stunned, like she expected resistance, a fight, maybe a confession that I missed her too. Instead, I took a sip of my coffee and said, I'm not angry, Deborah. I'm just done. She tried again, softer this time. I was confused. I didn't see it clearly back then. You had every chance to see it, I said calmly. I was standing right in front of you, asking for help, trying to talk. You didn't want to fix it. You wanted out. So you got out. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I just didn't think you'd let go so fast. I leaned back in my chair. You didn't leave room for anything else. She shook her head, half laughing like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. I miss us. I looked at her and said, I miss the man I used to be before I spent years trying to keep you happy. That hit. She looked down, suddenly very still. I've changed, she said. I see things differently now. Good, I nodded. I'm glad. But I didn't go through all that just to circle back to the start. I finally have peace, Deborah. Real peace. I'm not giving that up for a rewind. She opened her mouth, then closed it. There was nothing else to say. We stood up. No hug, no lingering. I told her I wished her well, and I meant it. She dumped me. And just a couple of days later, I found peace. Months later, when she tried to come back, I wasn't bitter. I was beyond it. I had no interest in reopening a door that led me into chaos. Because once you know what peace feels like, anything less feels like drowning. And I wasn't about to lose myself again. Not for anyone. Thank you for watching.